Hey guys, this is the Hidden Matrix and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video it's going to be another drawing tutorial, and the character that we will be drawing today is going to be the movie Sonic redesign for the Sonic movie. So yeah, I really do like this design. I think it's really cool. The movie was really good, and I hope that the sequel that has been confirmed will definitely, I think it will, I hope it will. It should do really well as the first movie did, and yeah, get really good feedback from the fans, especially since the fans made that first movie. We did great to push for that redesign, I guess, to, you know, because we were passionate about the film, and we really wanted what was best for Sonic the Hedgehog, and yeah, this is what we have now. And we can just be happy that we have a great Sonic movie that we can watch now and keep rewatching. So enough said, what we're going to be doing basically to start off with is that, first of all, if you are using Clip Studio Paint like me, make sure that your brush size is at 10, and I'm using the pencil tool. I've also got a free pencil tool from the Clip Studio store, which is an official pencil tool that they have available on the store, free to download. And yeah, you can use the same tool that I'm using, but it's perfectly fine, and you can still follow along whether you're using a different tool to me or not. And if you're on paper and drawing it with pencils or felt tips, crayons, pens, whatever it may be, that's perfectly fine. You can follow along this tutorial. Just keep in mind that if you are drawing on paper, that if you're using pens or crayons, anything that is hard to rub out or erase, that just keep that in mind, that you might not want that. So it might be better just to use a pencil if you do have those, and yeah, just to make sure you have a rubber and ruler for measurements, so you can make sure everything is proportioned and correct when drawing it. So now that you've got that sorted, what we're going to do is draw the head for movie Sonic. So just simply draw a circle to start off with, and it can be quite rough right now, but we'll sort it out. It's a little bit of like an eclipsed circle. It's not that perfect, it doesn't need to be, it just needs to represent what's going to be inside the head, which will be the muzzle, like the nose, the white parts of the eyes, his eyebrows. I'm going to do an axis point for the head, so this will be where the head is facing, and what I'll do is just redraw that line so I can draw a better one, and I'm happier with that line. And it will go slightly, it's leaning slightly downwards with his head, so something like that, and I'll try and curve off that line a little bit better there, and so you can get a better curved axis line, as you can see. And something like this should be okay, and I'll just darken any lines that you guys might not be able to see that well on the recording, since it's clearer on my tablet than it is on the OBS recording. So any lines that I do, I'll try and make sure that I darken them as much as possible, and you guys can get the basic shape of what's going on here. So once you have that, something very simple for the head, what we'll do now is add in the body. So with this body, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from here, round about here. So if we cut a line, we'll see around about there, since that's probably going to be around about the start of the muzzle, around this area. And this area is going to be where the shoulder is, so just a circle there would be for the shoulder, and that'll be like the shoulder placement. So going with this, and what we're going to do is just extend it a little bit, and then we'll go and curve it round about there. So once you have something like this, it should be okay, and I will just get rid of that line sticking out because we don't need it, and just make sure everything has been curved off. So once that is nicely curved and sorted, and you should have something like that for the body. It's like kind of like a beanie shape with a straight line on one side and a curved line on the other, and the end of it is going to be straight. And what I like to do now is, for the middle part of Sonic's leg, I'm going to draw basically the middle point, the line in between. If you were to like section the middle point of the line, so if we were to go outside of it, just imagine the stick as his bone basically, and that will represent the middle point of where we're going to place the leg. And since there's going to be a thickness to this leg, we will make sure that we draw a little bit of extra line length on the if I draw that better, I want to make sure I get the right position as well. So basically, since you'll be cutting through your lines, so make sure that you just do a little longer, since you don't want to be making it thinking it'll be fine there, and then you draw the leg and then you have hardly any of that line, and you realize you've got to move the leg a little bit more. So keep that in mind. So what I'll do is get rid of that line, So with this, what we'll do is around about here, we will go up the middle point, somewhere around there, and that'll be okay. Just something like that for the middle points for those. Right, so for the shoulders, like I was saying, we have like a shoulder area for the circle. So this is where the right arm is. So if you were to go across, and since he's leaning, so draw a line across, and you see that his shoulder. And I think it might be a lot bit easier if I were to show, since he's actually leaning up, since I moved it down. So if I go up this way and draw 2 circles there, you see that his arm is going this direction. So that's why so the shoulders are kind of they're not perfectly straight in terms of the level that they're at. So one's higher than the other. So with this, what we'd do is just follow the middle point. Since there's a little bit, we can do the outside of the arm just around here, just below the head. And there's like, so I'll try and darken the areas. As you can see, the dark lines represent the gap basically for now, and I will improve that later on, of course. But if you do now a line going out like that, and you would see that that would be kind of where you would end up having the right arm. So we've got that. What I'm going to do now is the middle point of the other arm. So going up like this, it's slightly bent out, and with that, what we can do is now draw in the glove area. So this bit will be sectioned off by 3 different rectangles. So we've got one here. The middle one will be the smallest of those 2, and something like that. And you have an idea for the wrist part of the glove, and then of course he has his hand, and it's in a fist closed sort of position. So keep that in mind. And what I'll do is I'll just slightly shorten that one in a bit more. It's not going too far out. I'm not making too big of a large hand. So you've got that, and yeah, the thumb would go around about there, and just go with a line up, and then just a line across, and just shorten that line slightly, and that would represent sort of the fold in that finger for now. These are all sort of construction lines, and everything will be sorted out, but this is giving you an idea of how things will look, and a position for everything, so you can then add in the detail later, because you don't want to be adding in detail too soon, since you might end up having to rub things out and edit things. So with the right arm being done, what we'll do is the left arm, and just make sure that's a little bit more straighter. And what we'll do is we'll do like a circle, and this circle, it's going in the downwards sort of angle. So with the next circle that we've got around here, we'll do this, and I'll just improve the first circle, give that a little bit more length, and then improve the next one by giving that a little bit further out. And then, so basically it's the same idea with the 4 rectangles. This time we're curving them off instead of making them like rectangles. We're doing like donut shapes, ring shapes, circle shapes kind of things. And it's a little scruffy, but it'll be improved, and I'll rub things out and sort things out later. But this is just guidelines, like I was saying. And what I'll do is with the top, since it's going downwards, I'll make sure that it's staying downwards, so nothing really ends up looking like it's going upwards. You want it downwards, staying with that. So now we've got that, what we'll do is the left hand. So with this, he's closed as well with his fist, so it's showing sort of the back of his fist, the top and the back of it. So with this, what we're going to do is go like that, and then it will eventually curve down. So just get rid of that point, you know, something like that. And I'll make sure it's a bit darker so you guys can get the right lines. So something like that, and then you'd have his closed finger around here, and it's like his thumb go around there, and we can improve that later. So that's just something simple. It's quite rough and dodgy right now, I know, but things are just here just for placement, like I was saying. Right, so for the foot, what we're going to do with the shoes is start off with the sock. So this is a bit of sock that's sticking out, and what we're going to do is just go down like that, and then curve this next bit off a bit more, and then we can go like this, since his foot is facing up, and you'll see the bottom of his shoe with the angle that his foot is facing, and is going with him running, since he's in a running pose if you haven't noticed already. And so we've got that. So what we'll do now is we'll go from the top and curve along, and then we're separating these two like we did with the wrist glove, and that'll represent the separation, like the fold in the socks. So going down, what we'll do next is what I like to do for characters when drawing their shoes is I like to kind of create triangles, and since this one is going to be a little bit like it's going to give us a bit more of a 3D effect, since you're going to see the bottom of the triangle. What we'll do, instead of giving it a pointy top, we're going to just give it a bit of a flat top, and then we're going to go out with it, and same on here, we'll just go a little bit more down and then across, and then we'll meet those two around like that. And what we'll do later on is we will, obviously, like I've been saying with everything else, we will improve it. So that's just an idea in getting you to realize that that's how the foot is. And what I might do is I might just make it smaller and make it a little bit not too massive. You don't want a huge foot, do you? You want to keep things at a good size. So yeah, just join that up, and yeah, what we'll do is there's a separation in there as well, so we can separate that part of the shoe as well, and we can also do a middle point kind of thing there, like that. For now, since we've done that shoe, we'll move on to the next shoe, and then once we've done that shoe, we will most likely move on to the head and the muzzle. So with this, what I'm going to do is now from about here, since it'll start and it would then sort of touch the body, but we'll end up sorting that out, so it might just cut into it right now. But with the circle, what we'll do, since even though these lines going in at the moment will be covered, so it doesn't really matter too much, but just keep that in mind. So what we're going to do is, I'd say, since we're going to be thickening the leg to probably about there, I want to go and curve it from here, I'd say. So keeping that in mind, so with this, like I'm saying, curve it around, and we'll do one at a time for the sock, so I won't make the whole thing in the section off. So I'll do one ring over the top this way, and then we'll do the next bit, and we'll start off here, and it's going below, so it's not going further out. Let's start saying, get this, if you do a line up, you see it sort of staying consistent with that line. And so just go with another sort of ring around, and that creates the sock fold, and we'll sort that out and develop that later, since most likely the tail will cut into it later on when we do that bit of detail. So that'll be okay. And yeah, for now you can kind of just go underneath and see how that would work, and how his leg would place into that. Also guys, what I'm going to do as well is just lean this down a little bit more and bring it down a little bit more, since the gap between the arm and the shoe shouldn't be that big. So what I will do is just sort that out quickly, and yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. So let's move it down slightly, and then once that's sorted, what I'll do is just move the arm at a certain angle, and that'll be okay. Nothing too major, of course. Just going around like this, and then what I'll do is I'll just tilt the arm, and then I'll reposition everything slightly. So this is from us finding out how everything is, that this is how we find out how the space is that we want for it, and how we'll get the space and sort that out, of course. So with that, that's okay. And then what I'll do, like I said, will be go from here. And since I think what I'll do as well is probably, if you look at the bend mark, the elbow, I probably will just extend it slightly, so we have a little bit more of the arm for the next part. So like the second half of his arm, so a little bit more. So something like that. And then what I'll do is join it up and extend that arm that we've got, that construction. So something like that. And then with this, what I'll do now is I will do the shoe. So the gap will go around out here, and then we're going to go, so a line up and then across, and then we're going to go and do diagonally downwards like that. And then we're going to go from this side, and we'll eventually just connect those two. And what I'll do is curve that top there, and you see how that is working. And a good way to see the angle that we're going as well with this is what I'll do is just slightly, since the soles on the shoe is at a certain angle that I want, so just slightly improve things. And you can also go like that really, because that will start like that area of sectioning it off will be kind of where the start is for the strap on this shoe. Right guys, so for the head, like I was saying earlier on with the muzzle, it was around about the shoulder point where the muzzle point will start. So with this, what I'm going to do is curve it off around the edge of this muzzle, and once you've got that, what we'll do then is we'll now go across and just loop that top bit up slightly, and then we'll go back and curve it around. So it's very similar to how you do it with your normal Sonic design, but there's going to be slight differences that you'll notice soon. And then going from the bottom here, we can use that bottom circle line that we had as well, which is always helpful. And you can go up, and what I'll do is go from the top, and we'll go slightly out a little, since it's got a little bit of like, since his mouth is in the middle, it's got a little bit of a cheek to it, a bit more there on that side, since there's key differences in the design to normal Sonic, of course. Now that you've got that, what we'll do is now draw in sort of a gap between the two eyes, since they separate off, if you guys hadn't noticed. And what we'll do is we'll curve off a middle point. This is where the frown of Sonic comes into play and his attitude. And what I'll do is I'll just give that line a little less thickness. There we go. So something like that to separate the two eyes off. And then what you can do is just curve it up now and start developing those lines. Instead of having to do them together, we can do them individually. So we could sort of take care for each one of them individually as they're separate. And so something like this for now. And then what I'll do is just rub out that line as well at the top, and that should be a little bit better. And then so we got something like that. Happy with that so far. And then what I'll do is on the other side, what we're going to go with this top line is curving it up, and we're going to go across, and we're going to go back around till around about there. And then what I'll do to sort things out on this, and what I'll do is just slightly, since I felt like I went too much in, you want a decent amount of white eye space available, so you've got, so the pupil that you end up doing in your eye doesn't take too much of the white eye space off, so since he's got quite big white eyes. And also we do have like a line gap as well, if you guys haven't got that, since that separates the skin color from his blue fur. And also a line up here, since yeah, that separates the blue and the skin as well. And what we'll do is just we'll curve that top a little bit more off as well, like that, and that'll be fine. I'm happy with those eyes. I think they'll do okay for now. And then for the eyebrows on the eyes, we'll just go around the top and kind of like bendy cylinder shapes. So if you were to kind of just put a cylinder on top, you kind of see what's going on there, and you can see it's kind of like a cylinder shape for the eyebrows. Let's get rid of those so it doesn't look really weird. And yes, we've got that. And what we'll do on the other side is we will start from the outside, and then we'll do it inside. So we'll go with a line upwards, and then we're going to go and curve it outwards like the cylinder shape, going around the white eye. And then you want to try and keep the distance in kind of the same as well for both sides, and then it'll eventually meet up around there. And what I might do is just curve that off a little bit more, since you want to kind of keep the curve consistent throughout. And yeah, that looks better, and keep the distance the same, so they're kind of on level lengths as well for where they finish. So we do a line across, you'd see where if they're in line with each other. And for the nose, what we're going to do is do a little circle to start where the nose is going to be. And then what I'll do is I will go up, and this nose is a lot different to the nose that you would expect a Sonic the Hedgehog design and character to have. So with this one, it's like I will zoom in as well with this since it makes it a little bit easier for me and you. It's kind of like a nose with nostrils, and so it's going to look a little bit weird, but it will look better as soon as you get the main designs of the main features of movie Sonic that makes him unique in. It will look fine once that is sorted, so let's get rid of all that space in between. So with that, what we're going to do then is start drawing the nostril, and it's got like a load of curves, so something like that. And then what I'll do is I might just rub some more things out as well, just to fix things a little. Since what I'll do now, since I don't think you can really see the other nostril, I think you can only see one, I think so. So I'm happy just to leave it like that and just kind of colour it in right now. It's a really odd looking nostril, but it'll do fine. And I'll just darken the outlines, and we can just colour that in, keep making it darker than the other lines. And yeah, since it's darker in there than it is on the outline. And also to mention, it does have a glow on the top as well, so something like that. And then what I'll do is just slightly just shape it better off the top there for his nose. That's okay. So with that, what we'll now do is draw in Sonic's eyes. So what's great for having an axis on the head for drawing Sonic characters is knowing kind of where the muzzle's going is also where the bottom of the eye is going. So the bottom of the eye will end up touching the axis, the line that I drew. So that's a good way of being able to figure things out if you need to. And then what we'll do is go and curve this one up, and it'll eventually go around there. He does actually have quite big eyes as well, big green eyes to the usual one. It's usually a little bit more slim and streamlined. The other kind of eyes on Sonic that you have for modern Sonic, the green eyes. So going around this, I'll darken the outline so it comes out better. What we're going to do now is make sure we have a good space in between in case any of the lines are in the way, and we'll basically draw the same line in again, but this will represent the black in movie Sonic. So this will represent like the black that we have in our eyes in the Sonic eyes as well. So yeah, just basically what you did on the outside on the inside, and we'll be filling it in. But if you are doing it on paper, make sure probably just to wait a second before you colour it in, since with digital art it's a lot easier to erase things. So if you colour it in too dark, it might be harder just to colour and get a white area. Since what I like to do now is just sort of erase my white area in, instead of going in and drawing a circle into it, since I feel like I get a better and bigger circle of glow in there, since you know you're not getting lines that are cutting into things, and it just looks a little bit better really. And what I'll do is I'll just improve that line on the top, and then I'll erase that in, so something like that on that side. And then what we'll do on the other side, just slightly extend it, and then I'll go around it and just improve it. It's kind of like almost like a kite shape. And what I'll do is get rid of any lines in there, and then what you can do is you can go and you see that from a distance now, and you can see if you're happy with that. I'm perfectly happy with those two lines. I'm really happy with that, so that's come along really nicely. And I'm happy with the eye size in there as well. I feel like there's a good enough amount of space in there as well, so that's pleasing and very good. So what I'll do is just slightly, since I've got enough space, I can slightly improve the bottom of the eyebrow and the bend, make sure that I get the right line as well. With that, that's okay. So once you got that, what we'll do is finish off with the mouth. So all I'll do straight away is just get rid of that line that we don't need in there. So we don't want lines going in the way, so it doesn't confuse you. And of course, just making it look nicer in there, as you can clean up as you go, or you can draw in everything and then clean it up. But it just helps to clean up as you go and draw it, because every detail you get in, that's more you're putting onto that drawing, and the more detail, the harder it gets to clean it, because it's harder to find the detail that you want to get rid of, or the detail you want to keep. So with that, what we're going to do is basically a big smile for Sonic. So going from sort of this side of this eye, and we'll finish off going down from around there, so inside those two line borders. So we're going to draw in a line that sort of curves down and it'll curve back up as he's smiling. I'll draw this carefully, and then once I've got a line I'm happy with, I'll darken that line, and we can stick with it and stay with that. So something like that. And on the end, it's good to keep in mind he has a bit of like a bit of a circle shape. So if you do like a circle, then do a line off it, just something like that, and then just sort of go to the edges of the circle and blend it into the line so it doesn't look like it's a circle and it looks like it's part of it. And then so something like that, and I'm happy with it. And I'll go and darken that in now, and that'll be okay for now. And get rid of all those guidelines you don't need now. Like I say, you can clean up as you go. I can get rid of a few access points as well that I don't need, since I'm starting to draw over them now and they might get in the way. So having a look at that, and you can kind of see now, if you're happy with that, it's slowly becoming Sonic, but of course we still need to add in the iconic spikes and the features that make Sonic who he is, of course. So with that, we can now draw in the ear. So going outside the circle, I'm going to go and curve up the line, and then we're going to go and curve across and sort of curve slightly inwards with it, and eventually you have it sort of finishing around here, since then this will represent the start of the spikes, and yeah, the way that the spikes go up that way with that. So with the ear, the inside of the ear will appear like this, so it's kind of like almost like a pointy oval shape. So instead of having curved corners, you're having like a point corners, and it shows a little bit of the ear there. And we'll go up and separate it slightly, separate and show that there's a gap in the ear and everything there. Eventually we'll end up adding in the textures for Sonic that makes the design a bit different, as he will have spiky kind of texture to him with his spikes, and I'll add that detail in a little bit later. So just want to get the features in, basically the body features, all the parts in first before adding detail really. So we've got that. Now what we'll do is kind of draw a line across and see that we can now add in the ear. It's going around there, so it doesn't go past the muzzle. So if you kind of drew like a line, you would see that it would end up going around this point for where the ear is right ear. And what I'll do is I'll go across and try and draw the right lines and curve it correctly, and we'll get rid of these a bit, and then we can get rid of that slightly. And inside that ear we'll do a triangle inside a triangle, and what I might do is just widen the first top triangle. So what I can do is just lasso it. You guys can just slightly widen it. All we're doing is just widening it. So just making sure that there's a bigger space in between the triangle that we drew in the other triangle, since the smaller triangle is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go like that with this one here and move that across, and I'm going to go up and just rotate it slightly. So something like that. And then what I'll do is just move it down a little. I can rotate it a little bit more now. And then I will go and lasso the inner triangle and make this a little bit bigger and rotate it accordingly. So something like that should do. I'm okay with that, and just a few finishing touches on the top to make sure it's in line with the bottom is just to move that top bit a little, just like that, and that should be okay for that right ear. It turned out to be a little bit more awkward than just being a triangle inside a triangle. So something like that. And then what we'll do is now we'll go from, so this is a little bit of a gap from like the ear to the top spike, and so we'll go with this gap and we can draw in the distance between the spike and everything. So with that spike there, what I'll do is I'll slightly just give this spike a little bit more to it, this top spike. So something like that for the top spike. So once you've got something like that, we'll now draw in the second spike, and a good way to know where this point will end is just do kind of a line up, and you know that the second spike won't go, if we get the right angle, it won't go basically below the muzzle from this area. So with this, what we'll do is we'll curve the top a little bit, and then we'll go out and sort of create the spike by doing the top bit where it curves, and then what we'll do is we'll eventually get to a point where I'm happy to go inwards with this and make sure that I got a good consistent top curve that fits in with the drawing well. And once you've got something like that, that's okay, and just rub out those lines. It's not in the way. Get rid of all those guidelines. It's become a little bit more clearer and better, the drawing. So this will go a little bit more in, so about there will be okay. And then what I'll do is just make sure that I'm happy with that end on the spike and make it pointy and get rid of any errors. And then what we'll do is, instead of being exactly going from the point from where it ends on the second spike, we're going to go slightly this side, and you kind of do a line down and diagonal. You see it's kind of about there. We'll start, so going down and across. We won't do the full one as it will be covered by the arms. So what we'll do now is drawing the arms, so going up like this and eventually across like that, and join those two lines up, making sure it's okay, and then go from here, and we'll then go and connect those two together, and you can get rid of the inside line if you won't need it. So just rubbing all this out, and then you got a clearer line, and that'll be more helpful. And then what you can do is kind of go from here and just make sure you got a consistent line. Make sure that and the gap will eventually go across to about there. So going from around out here, make sure it's consistent, the line, and then so the gap will eventually go down, and we can then just move this across. So the arm, I'm just going to extend it a little bit more, and so you'll see why. And just what we'll do is just give the arm a little bit more of an angle upwards, and we'll get rid of all those unneeded, unnecessary lines that we had before. So there's little changes to the proportion slightly, since I wasn't happy with the size of the third spike, so I want to kind of just improve that a little bit there. So going with this, and then I'll get rid of all these scruffy lines and get one clearer line for that spike. And then going from about here, consistent line, we'll go across. We'll get rid of the other line we don't need, and that pointy line. So to make this a bit easier, guys, what I'm going to do is draw in the back shoulder spikes. So with this, we'll go around about over to here with this, and then we'll curve that top bit off even more. You want to make sure that instead of having just like a straight line for each edge for the spikes, you want to make sure you got a nice curve going. With this, as it's a little bit tough getting this last spike sorted, so what I'm going to do now is go from, say, here, and then we'll go and connect it to there with that, and that should look a little bit better, and I'm happy with that, and that should look a lot nicer there. So guys, what we're going to do now is draw in the body details. So with this, what we'll do is just we'll fine tune that outer line a little bit more and get the curve better how we want it. So we'll get rid of all those excess lines, keep to the darker ones, and rub out anything that we don't need inside these lines. Of course, as clean up as you go, that makes it a lot easier for you then. This drawing will be trial and error sometimes. I know it's a bit difficult with the spikes. I don't know why I made my life so hard with it, but usually it is a little bit more simple than that. But yeah, so we've got this shape for the outside. So what we're going to do, the inside, so the separation of the sort of the normal human skin looking colour to the separation of the blue fur. So it's like his belly. So with this, keep going around to about there, and then you're going to go and curve it and connect it into that line. So this, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So guys, quickly, I've done a little bit of shuffling around and sorting things since I wasn't too happy with the proportions of where they were at and everything. So just a little proportion change on the construction of the feet, and just position them a little bit better so they fit better with the body and its proportions, as it's not exact to the first construction. The way we've added in the detail, it's had to make things go and move a little bit, just changed and slightly, but it's fine, and it should be not an issue for you guys. And yeah, you can quickly just check your drawing now and see if it fits my proportions I've quickly got right here. So what I'm going to do now is, once you've caught up with me and understand what's been happening and you're ready to carry on, what I'm going to do now is draw in the legs. So with this, what we're going to go and do is the outside, and it'll eventually curve in a bit there. On the other side, we're going to just do sort of his bottom, which will allow me to do the tail spike as well. And what I'll do is it'll go round about here, and I'll just improve that line over on the top. And once that is sorted, we will then go and do the outside of this part of the leg, and eventually it will connect if you curve it up like that, like so. And yeah, just get rid of any excess lines that we don't need on the outside and the inside as well, and then just redraw those lines slightly just to neaten them up a little bit more. Then you can have a look and see if that's okay for you. And what I will do is just I'm going to curve that bottom of his a little bit more. I felt it was a little too flat, so I'm just going to give it a bit more of an arch to that curve, and that looked a lot better there and looks a lot nicer. So we've got that, and then what we'll do is on here we'll just now just improve those lines on the top, and what I'll do actually is just I will go and just thin that top bit up a little bit and then improve that bottom line. Something I'm happy with. So that's all good, and you can always go and look at perspective, see if it fits and everything. So with this, since it gives him a little bit more of a muscle to his legs, these movie designs, so that's why it can look a little bit wiggly, his leg. Ever since he's got like a thigh and a calf and everything, you know, like that kind of muscles. So that's why it can look a little bit all over the place sometimes. But now what I'm doing with the left leg, that's going to be behind, with the behind the front right leg, we're going to be drawing the outside of it, and it's the bend. And it's quite easy, since now we've drawn the first leg, it makes it a lot easier to draw in the outside, knowing where that'll be. So we've got something like that, and what we're going to do is just curve a line inwards. So it's not, you don't want the line to go outwards, you want to make sure that when you connect the sort of the bend to that edge, that is curving inwards with the line. And I'll just make sure the top is in the bend is curved, as you want a curved end, not a pointy end. So something like that. And what I'll do is I will now just sort out here all this with that, and that should be okay, and I'm happy with that. And then we can just improve that, since that's slightly, it's just slightly in front of that, so that's why you're not seeing much of the way the sock is going around it, since it's getting slightly covered. And we can then go and clean the drawing a bit and get rid of everything we don't need now. So I'm going to clean up all those construction lines in the legs, and then you'll be able to have an idea of how everything is, and get rid of those construction bits and legs will be able to show you if it looks too thick or too thin as well. And what I'll do is go a little bit more down with this line, and yeah, because it's a little bit more bended. You can see he's got quite a lot of bend in that left leg, and you can kind of have a look there to see how that is, if you're happy with that. So now we've got that, what we'll do now is the tail, and with this it's kind of like a pointy triangle with a bit of a curve, And then on this side, you just go and connect it like that. Simple shape there. And what I will do is just the top, just not have it curved out too far. You don't want it going too further than the shoulder spike. So now we've got that, I'm happy to now start on the shoe. So we're going to go and start on the left shoe on this side, since it's a little bit easier to start on this side. So what I'm going to do is now draw in the red part of the shoe, then we can sort out like the separation between the sole, like the white stripe, and the white sole, and get that separated from the red. So going with this to separate the sole on the bottom of the shoe, going around, and can then go around to about there. We might extend it, just having a look at where the white strap finishes. So you know, you don't want too much of a small front to the shoe where his toes are, and so we're going with this curve. I'll make sure it looks nicer. So something like that on that side of the curve for the strap, and then going from here we can then curve it round, and it'll curve back in like that. And then what we'll do is from this point we'll now add in a little bit of an extension to the shoe, just to make it look better, and yeah, fit with the size of his strap on his shoe and everything on the other side. Just get rid of everything in there. And what we can do is basically do what we do before with this, and we'll just curve this off eventually, and then we'll go and like that there, curve that up, and then back down, and then across like that for the strap there. Now with Sonic's shoes are a little bit different. So in the red pattern, there's a little bit of pattern to his shoes, really. You know, usually it's just plain red and a bit of sole with a strap on, but it's since it's realistic shoes, there's a bit of texture to the shoes. So going up like this, we're going to sort of do lines that do a bit of a pattern, and inside there we've got a little bit of a pattern, kind of oval shape almost, kind of thing, really stretched out oval. And yeah, so go across like that. He's got a little bit of like a tag by his bottom of his socks to the top of his red part of the shoe. So going up and across, and cut across that line slightly, and then what we're going to do is curve the end, and then rub out everything in there so we can see it. And then inside we're going to do sort of like showing that there's an inside to that tag bit there, so just doing a gap, a little circle in there. I'll rub out slightly in there so you can see there's a bit of a better gap in there, so something like that. And there's like a little Puma logo. I don't really want to draw it perfectly right now, since I'm not looking to go too detailed, and I don't want to get you know, demonetized because I just have a Puma logo in my drawing apparently. So something like that. You know, I'm not going too much into detail there, since it's not trying to get too much into detail as it's very small. And so we've got that. Now the other pattern on the other side that we had is it's like a kind of an X shape almost. So with this, and then on the other side going from here, and then it will eventually connect and go like that for that part of the red part of the shoe. So once we've got that, what we'll do now is we can start drawing the front part of the red shoe, and then we'll move on to the sole. So with this, what we'll do is on the front there's a bit of a kind of pattern shape to it, and a little bit more texture to the front here, just below the I was going to say sock, but or sole, but I meant the stripe basically. That was the word I was looking for. So yeah, the stripe, you got a bit of a pattern texture going on there, and that's about it for the texture that I can see on the reference, and I'm happy with. So now that we've got that, what we're going to do now is start adding a little bit extra detail to these soles that we have on the shoe here. So with this, what we're going to do is we go about here, and then we're going to curve this a little bit more around, and just curve the top. So we'll do the outline for this, and then with this we'll go in like that, and go across like this, and eventually you would have it sort of curving like that, and there's a sort of like a little kind of thing here going on there. There's a little like sort of arch going on. What we'll do actually is just I made that a little bit too big, so what I will do is just adjust that slightly and put it there, shrink it half size. And then with the bottom of the shoe we go across, and then we're going to go and just extend this top bit, and eventually we'll curve the bottom of it, and it'll connect all and it'll look nice hopefully. So yeah, we've got that. What we'll do is now do a line that separates it slightly, so it gives it sort of a layer to the sole, and a line across, just like almost like a middle point here with that. And then I'll just rub out all the unneeded stuff, lines in there. Then I'll just darken the top over here a little bit on that sock, so it's a little bit better. And yeah, just darken that line there, and that's good for that shoe. And I'm happy with that. And you can also just darken things just to separate things from lines like that there. It's okay. I'm happy and with how that's finished. And yeah, so what we can do now is basically move on to the last shoe, and then we can finally finish off with the gloves, and that should be the drawing pretty much done. And all I'd need to do then is just pretty much go and just clean the drawing and just erase all the unneeded lines and stuff, and yeah, just tidy up the drawing once we've done all that. So going to this shoe, what we're going to do now is we'll do the outline first. So going from here, we're going to go do a line up, and go across, do a big arch, big long stretched out arch shape. And then what we'll do is go across like that and around. There's quite a lot of pattern underneath his sole as well, so we'll try and texture that as best as possible. And what I'll do is with this line is get rid of all the other lines around that line, so that things can get a little bit clearer and develop better. Now what we'll do is, well, we can go and just cut in and see that there's a difference to the gap now. And with this, what we'll do is we'll start developing the next half of the shoe. So curving down, and it'll eventually curve around. You can go from this side as well and curve it like so. Curve the bottom of that. The idea shape is going on there, and you get the idea of how the shape is going on there and how it's looking. So with this, what we're going to do now is separate the red from the sole. So with this curve we have here, we're going to go and do another one, and then what we'll do is we'll go progressively up all the way to about there with that. And what I might just do is curve that last bit a little bit better in terms of making a little bit less red space there for us, and probably just improve that line and make that a little bit better, so everything is a lot better there. And so with that, we have this, and then to separate the red from the strap, we're going to go with a line across and go up with this. I'll improve that top line so it's not too thick and has a consistency to it a bit better. So now we've got that, what we'll do is we'll draw the top of the strap, and I'll try and remember the words I'm actually trying to say as well. So I don't know why I seem to get confused with sock, sole and strap on the shoe. It's just the whole Sonic shoe. We're drawing that. So going with this curve, and there's a little bit of a gap of red between the sock and the shoe, so we can extend that now. So what we'll do is get rid of this line we had for placeholder, and we'll now go and improve that line. So with it, what we're doing is going across like this, and eventually it's going to go and curve up and do basically almost symmetrical to the line that we did basically before on just below. It's basically very similar, very symmetrical. And with that, what we'll do is properly go and section these off with the gap. So going here, just going across it in the middle to about there with that, and then we can just get rid of the lines on the edge and get it to just curve the edge off a bit better and get those lines off the edge there fine, perfectly. So with this now, what we'll do is basically the same on the other side. So curving it a little, just showing there's like a separation from the line and that the line isn't really the same. I'll get rid of that really big bold line we don't need, so it looks nicer there. Then on the top we'll just arch the top of this better and improve those lines. So this we'll do is go across and just give it a little bit more to that sock. It gives it a little bit more height to it, and we'll get rid of those terrible scruffy lines there. So once we've got that, what we're going to go and do now is we're going to do a line that goes down like this. So we're going to be doing a bit of pattern now in the red like we did before, and going across like this. We're going to go down and then we're going to go across like that, and there's a little kind of curve up there as well. And then with this line we'll just improve it now and curve that down, and with this we're going to go and connect that and curve those nicely and get rid of all the lines inside there. See, it's starting to develop now, this shoe, looking really nice. And with that we also have like the sort of like the strap like we did before on the back of the red part of the shoe that we did last time on the left shoe. And yeah, just going around like that there. It's just simply doing the same shape, and what I'll do is probably just show us a gap in there with that between them. So guys, now that we've got all of this, what we're going to do now is start developing this sole. So going from here, what we're going to go and do is sort of do like the separation line that we did before, but this is going to be slightly different as it's on a different angle for separating the sole. So just cutting across with this, and then it'll eventually go around like that and up. And what I'll do is just bring that up a little bit better there since I went a little bit wrong with the line. So let's get rid of all the unneeded stuff around this line. And what we did, get rid of everything in there, clean this up, and just go and make sure that line is not so wonky, looking a little bit nicer. There we go. So with this, what we'll now do is start now adding in the pattern on the shoe. So going from here, what we're going to go and do is now start doing the bottom of the sole, and eventually we'll create a little area for us to have a pattern. So what I'm going to do is go around that here, and then we'll go there and just do a little white gap slowly up until around about here. See the white gap is pretty much gone, and I'll get rid of those lines there. Then basically you want to go around it again, basically the same thing again, same pattern, and yes, it's basically outlining it around and then going all the way and connecting that there for that, and then we'll come back to it since now we'll just do the other one. So going with this bottom one, we're going to go and do a line that curves and arches up, and it's going to go down, and eventually it's going to curve a little bit up, and you're going to go around to about there with that, and then the other side we're going to go and curve that, and there'll be slightly small amounts of white gaps in there. Now I'll just redraw the line, shows a little bit of white gap in there showing. So you have that, and then once again like we're doing, we're going to go and do the same shape inside, and eventually it'll look great, and then connect that bottom line there just like that, and then we go back to the top. And now with this pattern, basically what it is a lot of triangles. So what I will do for an example is go like this and just keep going down on one line, and you keep doing it on the next, and you can kind of create your top point to your bottom point to where the line will stop, and then on the other side what you do is the same kind of pattern, but it's the opposite way round. So with this, it would be kind of like that. And then on the edges, without touching the lines, because you don't want to connect these to the lines as there's a gap in between the edges, and you would have like sort of like it facing the other way again. So keep that in mind when doing this. It's a quick example, and try and make it have a little bit of a curve to it, so it kind of fits the position of how the shoe is bending and everything. And eventually all these triangles will start looking correct, and you'll see how it fits in. Try and make them look as the same as much as possible. Let's go this side, and this side, and this one, then the inside here, and the side of that one there. We'd also have inside, if it helps, to go like that almost. I feel like my what I will do is I will, since it's easy for me if I go with a smaller brush size, so then I can get thinner lines that work better for this. Trust on it to get a really cool looking and complex shoe, you know. Trust him. It's given it by a kid actually in the movie, I believe. A kid gave him these, since his white shoes that he originally started with got a little bit worn out. Right, so coming along nicely this as well, and we can do the big ones and eventually just clean it up eventually with this, and it's looking nice. I'm happy with how it's looking so far. Everything, hope it looking good for you guys in this pattern as well, and the whole drawing especially. Keep doing what I'm doing and just follow along with each part of this. Should eventually get what we need, which is a finished pattern. This, so we can move on. It's going to be, we don't want to spend a lot of time on this, do we? Don't at all. So for continuously following the pattern, you should have something that looks like this. Hopefully you have something similar, and you can always pause the video and try and copy it. All it is to trying to, you know, go the same pattern in a straight line and then doing the opposite on the other side, and eventually you would have kind of like loads of, just imagine it as loads of different lines in certain order, and you'd eventually have the right pattern you need. So with that, what we'll move on to now is the other ones. So with this, make sure you keep it at an angle where it looks kind of flat when doing it, so it looks right. Basically the same kind of pattern on this, and I'll try and be as quick as possible with this, so it might look really scruffy, but it's just me trying to get the right speed so I don't take too long. And going on this side, do the same here, get that sorted, and it should nearly be done. Obviously take your time with this, guys, when doing this. Don't rush it. Make sure that your pattern is consistent all the way through with the size of each triangle that you're drawing. Make sure the triangles are a good size so it's consistent basically. And then with this on the other side, the opposite way around to the one it's facing, well the one behind it, because it won't be facing it if it's on the left side. And yeah, let's go the inside here, and that's nearly done. And yeah, well, what I might do off camera is slightly need to mine up maybe when I go and clean the drawing, but you get the basic idea of what's going on right now with this. So nearly there, very close to finishing it. Just make sure I get the right side the right way with things. I believe it's this one, and yeah, I'll leave it at that for that. You can kind of see it how it is. You know, it looks kind of a bit out of place because that's everything. It just needs to be a little bit more cleaned and sorted, and it probably just needs a little bit of a colour to it as well to make sure that the texture actually fits in, so instead of it looking completely separate. But that's the kind of texture we're looking for with this. And then what we'll do is we will separate those two from the soles, the bottom of the soles from each other. So make sure I've got the right tool that I do, and just going to separate these. And I'll go back to 10 on my size tool, separating the gap between them there nicely, and that'll do fine. So we're nearly there, guys. So what we're going to do now is just finish off the drawing in everything with the arms. The last thing to draw in with features, but then what I'm going to do is add in a little bit of texture and a little bit of detail to the spikes before I shade in and clean this drawing. So basically I'm going to just give it a little bit more spikiness in the texture of Sonic and a bit better. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in Sonic's arm. There's not that much showing actually, so keep that in mind when drawing this. There's not that much blue of his arm showing. So this, then go around with the line, and yeah, something like that will do. And I can get rid of all those other lines, make that line of the mouth kind of fit better in with it. So that's okay with that. And then what I'm going to do is rub out in the middle of this, and I'll just now improve lines around here for this, and improve that top line for thickness. So going around, hopefully most of this lines aren't too much to change with it, thank goodness. Makes my life a little bit easier, really. And so that's okay. And then what I'm going to do is do the bottom one and make sure that's nicely curved in and connected together. So you got something like that. So now we're ready to draw in the hands. So what I'm going to do is start off with the thumb. So going from this line, I'm going to curve sort of a bend in the thumb there, and over here it's going to show the thumb and where it's at. This, and we'll get rid of all those lines in there, those excess construction lines. Probably best if you're doing construction lines, it can be better to draw things in different layers, but I didn't really want to go into that faff. Really, I don't mind rubbing things out too much, but if you guys prefer to have things in separate layers, so you can do that if you're on digital. So with this, what I'm going to do now is going to go and curve this, and I'll do the separation from the thumb and the fingers. And what I'll do, I probably will just go and slightly improve this line by just shortening it up a little bit. What we'll do is go do a little line across this way, like that for the thumb. So you've got that. Then what we're going to do is sort of the knuckles on the top. So going across like this, and then we'll do this next knuckle. This is a bit more flatter, that one, the first one, and then we'll curve this fingers, the second finger knuckle. So we're going from fourth to the third, and then second, going backwards, and then we'll curve this around and use a bit of the construction lines that we had, and then I'm going to go and curve this bit here, that end, and connect it to the outer line. And then what we'll do is show the fold in the finger. So it's going outwards, and it's going to go like this. It's like an upside down Y there for the fold in the finger, and it's also a little bit of a bend in the finger there as well. So get rid of all that we don't need inside of it as well. Clean as you go. And then once we've done that, what we're going to do is there's a little bit of pattern in Sonic and his gloves. So there's like lines and sort of like patching sort of things where they've been sewn. So what we're going to do is just draw lines for them. And with this, what it's going to go and do is go like that, and it's going to go around like that there. For that there, I'm happy with it, and that's all good. So we've got just the last hand to do for Sonic with drawing things in correctly and getting that detail for the features on Sonic on his body. So what I'm going to do now is get this in line a bit better. I'm going to go and curve around these donut shapes, make the rectangles into more of a donut looking shape, really. Sonic's going to become the new donut lord. Yeah, the sheriff, Tom, I think he is, he's no longer the donut lord, it's Sonic now. If you ever watch the film, you understand what that reference is, the donut lord, of course. So we got that, and now what we'll do is we'll now go and do the same for this one, give it a bit more curve on the end, and we can even go and do the other one with a bit of a curve on that as well. It makes it a little bit more convenient. And then we can go and separate that there, going around like that, So once you've got that, we can then go over a line and connect those two bits then, and I will make sure that there's a right line there. So that's okay. I'm happy with that. So now we've got that, what we're going to do is the start of this hand, it's going to start just a little bit above our construction line of our hand, and it's eventually going to go and curve and go down, and with the bend of the knuckle with it being closed and the finger being inwards, it's going to bend around, and eventually it's going to go there, and the thumb is slightly going in front of it with this as well. So go with a line like that for the thumb, and then just going around that line, the outside of the thumb. So a lot of curving, a lot of curved lines in the shape. And so once we've got that, what we'll do then is we'll now connect that there, and make sure we get the right shape I'm happy with. That's good. And then we'll now add in the separation between the thumb and the finger and the palm, so all the folds in it. And what I'll do is just shorten that line a little bit more, and it'll be okay soon. So we've got that, and then we're going to go outwards, and there'll be a little bit of a sort of upside down sidewards Y, and it's a slight diagonal line, and then we've got that shape in there, and there's a little black gap inside of that for that Sonic fist there, and we'll just make sure the line's a bit darker and a bit better. Happier with it, of course rub out everything inside of it, and you'll get a better idea of how things look then, since you don't have other lines distracting the way it looks, so it looks a bit better. Of course, if you accidentally rub into the line you want to keep, just improve that quickly. There we go. So I'm really happy with how that is looking, and yeah, just go out of zoom and you can have a really good idea of how things are now. So with this, what I'm going to do now, since it might just distract you if you keep seeing these lines, so what I'm going to do is get rid of these lines that we don't want, so we don't get distracted, and then I'm going to start. Oh, I've gone into one of the lines I want to keep, just realised. Yeah, that's what you want to be careful of when getting rid of lines. Keep that in mind. And yeah, just get rid of that. All these in here. Free up Sonic's eye space. And improve those lines, and then so that's sort of like a little sort of zigzaggy kind of textured gap. What I'll do is just slightly make it a little bit more there, since my my size of my brush doesn't allow small details to be shown that easily. Right, so what I'm going to do now is add in the detail for Sonic and his fur on the outside. So I'm going to add in like little bits of spikiness to it, and just give it a little bit more of a fur texture to it, a bit more pointiness, you know, and make it look a little bit more live and real. So yeah, that'll be okay. And just go around, just want to go around those lines and kind of just flick out little flicks into it, and you know, just make it look a little bit more spiky and everything. So that'll be okay for that. And with my shading, with the shading, you can add in a little bit of detail as well. So inside, when you're shading and doing stuff, you can add in the extra details inside of the spike in the head. So going on the outside, so I'm just showing you how to do the detail on the outside, and you can carry it on inside if you want to, and just keep going along. Make sure that you keep your spikes in the right direction of what the line is doing. And try not to get them too much into each other, so it creates one big kind of shape that you don't really want. You want to try and keep those lines separate as possible. And make sure my lines are a bit darker for when drawing this. And so we got this, and yeah, just keep going across and just creating that spiky texture. And yeah, I'll get back to you guys once everything has been spiked out so you guys can see it, if you get the idea. But just go outlining the blue texture, and then we'll go and do the belly skin as well. Then just to finish off is just the body fur, just going around it. It's coming a little bit more alive now, this Sonic. He's looking great, so really happy with this. And we go inwards with this one, and back on the outside we go this. Make sure you just keep it in direction, making sure that it's showing direction as well of the change of direction by showing the different angles, the way it sort of transitions. So the little flicks on the end of this, and then we're done pretty much, and I'm happy with how it looks pretty much, and it's all good, which is great. And what I'll do is slightly just improve this, since I noticed that it needs to be a certain angle. It just needs a little improving. There we go. That'll do fine. I'm happy with that. I don't need to be going too much into too much detail, do I? I don't want to go overboard with things at all. No, so should all be okay, and just darken that top bit over there. That separation. I'm really happy with this, and it's looking really good and great, and yeah, I think I've done a great job, and I hope I've been able to make it as easy as possible for you guys to follow along. So once we've got all this, I'm going to now, off camera, I'm going to just clean it up and have it ready for shading, and I'm going to shade it off camera because I'm going to do a color time lapse instead, since that's what I think is a bit better. So for time purposes, it's better just to do a color time lapse instead of a shading time lapse. So I hope you all Sonic the Hedgehog turned out really good, and I hope you've been able to learn a few things from this, and I hope the tutorial's been helpful. It's gone on a little bit long, I'm sorry about that, but it's a in-depth, in detail tutorial on how to draw movie Sonic, and I'm really happy with this, and I hope you guys are happy also. And yeah, they're proud of your drawing and being able to show this off to your friends. But of course, if you're ready to color, then there's no need to worry, because I'll be on with the color time lapse very soon. So guys, this is movie Sonic once you have shaded him in, so you can copy that if you would like to, and this is my interpretation of movie Sonic shaded. I'm really happy with this drawing, from it going from the sketch layer, and of course excuse me actually going on and putting some of the wrong textures on the wrong layers, but it doesn't really matter too much. But then from going from this, from cleaning it up to going to that, and then finishing off with a fur texture on top, and you've got a really nice shaded looking movie Sonic, and I think that looks brilliant. I'm really happy with it. I remember when first seeing the end results of this, I was like astounded and really impressed with myself. I didn't think I could do that good, and yeah, I really hope you guys like it as well, and I really hope this tutorial is being able to give you a few pointers and a few extra tips that will help you and give you a big difference in creating art, and hopefully it will have given you just a great new experience with art and being able to draw better and show off to your friends, and yeah, just really be happy with the drawings that you now can draw with movie Sonic. Yeah, and I'm really just happy with this pose. It's a brilliant pose as well to draw, so definitely recommend drawing this pose. It's a really fun dynamic pose, and I really do like the style that he's in. And it's just a great drawing. So with that being said, it is now time for the color time lapse of the movie Sonic, and hopefully this will turn out as good as the or even better as the shaded version, and you guys can follow along, and you can slow down the video in the video settings for the color time lapse if you want to have an easier time following along, since it will be a quick time lapse, as we don't want to spend too long with it. So without further ado, once again, here comes the color time lapse of movie Sonic. So guys, we finally got there, but this is the finished version of Movie Sonic once you've coloured him in, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video and enjoyed the time lapse. And whether you prefer the shaded version or the coloured version, I hope you are able to learn a few things from this and take away a few tips and tricks to help you draw Movie Sonic and really just to have a better experience drawing, really. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this drawing and this tutorial, and I've done the best that I can for you guys, and I really hope that you guys have benefited from it. And I'm really happy with the shaded version and the colored version. They turned out better than I expected, and I'm really happy and pleased with what I've done, and hope that's the same for you guys. And if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit that like button to show your support and to show if you guys did enjoy the drawing and think it's good. That'd be very much appreciated. And if you're new around here and you'd like to see more drawing tutorials from me or Minecraft, whether it's my Bedrock series or currently the Minecraft Dungeons series game, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and consider subscribing to the channel with the notification bell turned on. That'd be very much appreciated for you guys to join this awesome community. And yeah, I think it'll be great to see you guys, and that'd be very much appreciated, and it's a great way of you guys showing your support for the channel. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this video once again, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, week, wherever you guys are from, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.